Hello everyone. Welcome back to Sham's Makeup Artistry. I'm pretty sure all of you have been looking out for me. I've been missing for a while. So today's content is actually my very first sponsored content, and it's by Wet n Wild Beauty, and they are a drugstore brand. So thank you Wet n Wild for sponsoring this particular video, and I'm actually going to film a tutorial come review. I'm going to share with you guys my thoughts of each and every products that they have sent me. Some of the products may not be from Wet n Wild, but most of it is from Wet n Wild. So without a further ado, let's just begin. So I actually received 3 different foundation shades from them, and this is their Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation. So the very first shade that I got is Cocoa. I do have Cocoa in my vanity as well. This is the shade that I have purchased in the past. And just to let you know, if you do not know yet, Wet n Wild is a cruelty-free brand. The other shade that I got from them is Caramel, and then the last shade that I got from them is Toffee. So Toffee and Cocoa are the 2 shades that I personally own in my vanity as well. They kind of match me the closest. With Caramel, it's a little bit more lighter on my skin tone. So I'm just going to do a swatch for you of all the shades. So this particular foundation is a 30 ml of product. I'll list down every detail on the description bar below, and they're very affordable. So it's actually a goodbye photo flashback foundation. It says that it helps to eliminate white particle reflection, and in the past I've already tried this foundation. I believe I do have a review of them, and I do like the foundation. It doesn't feel heavy on the skin. So Wet n Wild has to be one of my favorite foundation in the drugstore besides Milani. So the very first shade that I'm going to swatch is Toffee at the back of my hand. So this is how Toffee looks like. It kind of like is light, but it blends in into the skin. For me, I believe it kind of like oxidizes tad a little bit on my skin. So it's pretty fine with me if I use something just a tad a little bit lighter than my skin tone. Again, this is Toffee. You can see it's blending into the skin. The next one is Cocoa. And I personally like Cocoa more. It kind of like looks exactly like my skin tone, but it does have a little bit of golden undertone to it. So I'm much more like a neutral kind of person. So this is Cocoa. So I think I took a little bit more product. This does give a pretty good coverage, so a little goes a long way in my opinion. So this is Cocoa. So you can see Toffee looks much more better on my skin tone, kind of blended in. And then the last one that I got is Caramel. So if you notice, I do have breakouts on my skin, which is leaving me scars, unfortunately. So with me trying out this foundation, you can also see how much coverage it can give for scars or even for acne. So this one right here is Caramel. So Toffee, Cocoa and Caramel. So I'm going to actually try the shade Toffee today because I feel that it blends in much more better with my skin tone. So before I actually try out the foundation, I'm going to apply their primer water. This is their 3-in-1 Rose Photo Focus Primer Water. It says that it helps to prep, set and refresh, and this is a 45 ml of product. So it's pretty tiny bottle. Very simple packaging, but it does have like a rose design on the cover of it. So I'm just going to shake it well. It does say shake it well before you apply it on your face area. So typically I don't use like a spray kind of setting spray or prep before I actually like finish my entire makeup. So this has to be my first try. So let me just spritz it on my hand first. It does have like a rose scent to it. So the scent is pretty strong, so I'm going to see how it sets into a primer. And let's just wait a bit because it's kind of wet on my skin. So let it dry down a little bit. So besides the primer, I also received the kind of like beauty blender sponge. So this is their makeup sponge, and this is how the packaging looks like. So it says that this Holy Grail blending sponge flawlessly applies makeup for a professional looking finish, provides a streak-free effortless application, designed for a unique hydrophilic material to ensure less product waste. So I believe that it would not soak in too much of the foundation or any liquid product that you apply over your face area. So again, this is a vegan product. It's a cruelty-free product. I personally like any of my beauty sponge to be damp. I do not like to use them dry on my face area because I do have a combination to dry skin. So if anything which kind of like can dry up my skin even more, I try to avoid it. So let's give it a try. And I heard from my very good friend Zivita, she said that a lot of people rave about this makeup sponge. So let's see how it does it for me. So the primer is still setting in. It kind of dried on my forehead area. So in between of waiting still for the primer to dry, let's finish up with the eyebrows. So I'm going to actually use the Wet n Wild. I do have two of them right here. So it is their Ultimate Brow Micro Brow Pencil. And I do have two shades right here, and the very first one is ash brown and the second one is soft brown. So I'm going to swatch it for you. I believe I preferred the soft brown much better when I was doing swatches on my own. So I'm just going to swatch it. It does come with a spoolie on the other end, so that's a good thing. I love eyebrow pencils that already has a spoolie to it. And this is again in the shade, what is that? Okay, ash brown. So this one, I believe it's much more like grayish on my skin tone, or even black. So I don't think so this would be a pretty match for my eyebrow color. So I think I will skip on this one, but I did like the soft brown, so I would use the soft brown to actually just fill in my eyebrows. I'm not much of like a deep fully set eyebrow kind of girl, so I keep it very natural. So this one is in the shade soft brown. So this one I guess would be a pretty match for my eyebrow shade. So let's just do it up and then we will continue on the rest of it. So probably just fast forward on this thing, but I will let you know what I feel. This is the first time I'm using it, so it's more of like a first impression come review. So I kind of feel that it looks natural on the eyebrow area. It doesn't really look harsh. The shade doesn't deposit on the eyebrow really harshly. But you have to like work on it because the tip of it does feel rough on the eyebrow area. So for someone who loves like a natural looking eyebrow color on your eyebrow, you might love this one. And if you're looking for something really affordable, just why not? So just filling it in. Because some of the eyebrow pencils that I have from Anastasia Beverly Hills or Benefit, they're kind of really thick in consistency, so I kind of like apply very light. But with this one I have to apply it more because it's super light, and then for me to like get a nice looking eyebrow I have to apply more. So if that does kind of make sense to you guys. So but this isn't bad at all. So it did fill my eyebrows pretty well, so I do like it. So let's wait on that. I will probably set it with the brow gel later on off camera. So the primer has actually sunk in into my skin and it does feel a little bit tacky. So let's see if it holds the foundation well. So again, I'm going to use the foundation in the shade Toffee. So this foundation has been my kind of like to foundation from the drugstore, so I would not be like, you know, sharing my thoughts on it. Overall I do like it, but I did wish like it came with a pump instead of like picking it up this way. So that's the only thing that I don't really prefer in a foundation. So I'm just gonna apply it on my skin. I have not been liking full coverage foundations lately, so I'm going to use the beauty blender to blend them in. But then I do need something to cover up my acne spots. So I like a medium coverage foundation or a full coverage foundation that can give me like a medium look or a very natural finish. Or a medium to full coverage foundation that can make me look yet natural. The sponge actually feels really nice when you dab it over the skin. It does feel just like a beauty blender. It doesn't really soak in products. They actually like sit on the top of it. So this is like one swipe over my face area. This is the coverage that it gives my skin. Obviously, like I told you guys, I need more coverage over my spot areas. So this is the area that I always focus more when I'm applying foundations. So my forehead is the last area that I like to dab my foundation because I tend to keep it very light. I do not need coverage at all on the forehead area. So it's a pretty well match for my skin tone. So again, I'm gonna apply like on my spots right here and right here, and I'm gonna blend it in. Acne, which leaves marks, are just super annoying. Each time my face clears up, something new will pop up. So I'm just gonna blend this. So that's about it. I've already applied my foundation, so it's a pretty good coverage. Obviously, using sponge, it didn't really cover up my acne that much because the acne marks are really deep. So the sponge does feel really nice, and I think it would be really good to apply concealers, especially on the inner corners. I always like sponges which have like, you know, on the tip like this, so it's easier to get in here for concealers. So just like that, I'm gonna leave the acne alone. I'm not just gonna keep dabbing products on it. So this foundation will be like an everyday go-to foundation for those of you who are still studying, you're still in college, you want something really affordable. Definitely give this one a try. It will surely last you for a long time because it does have a good coverage. Next, I do not have an eyeshadow primer, so I'm not going to use an eyeshadow primer today, but I'm just going to apply eyeshadows. I've been keeping it very simple when it comes to eye makeup. I literally like using one shade to blend my crease and then another shade just to apply on the lid, and then I apply my mascara and I'm good to go for the entire day. I've been doing that a lot. I kind of smoke it on the lower lid as well. So I did receive 2 eyeshadow palettes from them. I believe this is new to their edition. So this is Wet n Wild Color Recon, my Glamour Squad. Definitely right up my alley. You guys know that I'm all the time about coppery shades. So let me just open this up. So this is how the eyeshadows on the inside looks like. So they do have like pretty much most of the shades that you need. So you do not need any additional eye palettes to work on for your eye area. They do have like a black here too, and then over here I do have more of like purpley shades which are right here. So this one is much more like for a glam kind of look, and I'm just going to do a swatch of this eyeshadow so that you can see the shades. So the very first one up here, it says it's a transition shade, so it is like a deep mauvey brown shade. The next one here is more of like a blending shade. So I did swatch the blending shade and then the mauve shade, which obviously doesn't show much on my skin tone right here. The third one is a shimmery shade. It's a gold one. So that's just, wow, it does look beautiful, really beautiful. This one, oh my, it's like an highlight kind of gold shade. And then we have 2 mattes, which is like a deep plum shade, which is right here. So I'm just gonna swatch this as well. It's very similar in the tone of it. So it's kind of chalky on this one. So let's see if it works well on the lid area. I don't have much space to like swatch. So this one is also a transition shade, which is my favorite brown shade. And wow, this is beautiful. This one right here. And then there are 4 other shimmery shades, which are like pinks and purples. So I'm just going to swatch the very first pink right here. And then the second one is a purple shade. Swatches really beautifully. So I'm looking forward to try this ones out later on and I'll update you guys. But it does swatch pretty well. And then the last one right here, it's also a purple. It does have like sparkles on it. And these are all the purple shades in this particular palette. It does look like it's a very decent palette, so I'm going to give this a try separately because today I'm going to use the neutral one. I will update you guys, but it does look like it's a very beautiful palette. So this one is actually their VI purple palette. So I did not name the palette, I'm sorry about that. So I'm actually going to use the My Glamour Squad today. Like I said, I'll be keeping it very simple, but I'm actually going to swatch the eyeshadows for you. I tend to do it very simple lately, and let me just do swatches before I start on the eye makeup. So the very first shade here is a transition shade. So it's like more of like an orangey brown. It kind of melts into my skin tone when I swatch it, so you can't really see it. And the next one here, it's a very light champagne gold, shimmery yet beautiful. So it would work well as an highlight shade. And the next one here is a gold shade. I kind of prefer the gold in the purple palette than this one. It's much more like yellow than the other gold. And then we do have like two matte shades which are right here. Looks very much like a matte shade from the purple palette as well. My favorite kind of like brown shade. And then we do have like a black if you need an eyeliner or you need to smoke it out. Wow, it is really intense. And then we do have like a transition shade which is like a deep matte brown over here. So all of this do swatch pretty well. So I'm going to swatch the rest of it for you. So the very first one looks more like rose gold. Beautiful indeed. So I believe if you use your brush wet on this particular eyeshadows, they will look much more intense. And then this one has to be my favorite type of shade, bronzy shade. And then the next one here is an orange brown. It's a matte shade, pretty good transition shade. And then the last one here is another brown. And they do have fallout when I'm actually swatching them, but not on the hand area, only on the palette when I'm actually swatching with my fingers. This is the last one right here. So those were the swatches. So let's just start by trying out this eyeshadow palette. So I'm actually going to apply the very first transition shade on my crease area. I'm going to use a pixie brush for this one. So it's actually a crease brush, like a blending brush. So this shade does show up well on the eye area when I'm actually blending it. So this is like my easy go kind of look. So with this same brush, I'm going to use this particular shade right here, which is more of like an orangey brown, earthy tone brown. Just going to dab the brush so that it doesn't have any fallout. Picking up a little bit more. Then I'm going to use the deeper brown, which is right here, because I feel like this still looks pretty light on my crease area. Just going to pick up very light, just deepening the outer V. So the shades do blend in pretty well. So I'm going to use the bronze shade, which is right here, with my fingers. I'm going to apply this on my lid area. They do look very beautiful. Like it's like my kind of color, so I do like it. It doesn't look very intense and it's totally wearable. So this is more of like a review. If you want me to do a tutorial, like a separate tutorial with them, with the attire as well, please let me know. Pretty much that's my eye look. So I'm just going to blend in with the deeper shade right here a little bit on my crease area. I do not have like a drugstore eyeliner, or I do not have any eyeliners from Wet n Wild, so I'm just going to do it off camera and I'll be right back. So I did do my eyeliner off camera and also my concealers. I do not have any Wet n Wild concealers, so sorry for that. So I'm actually going to do my lower lid. I'm just going to smoke it out with the very same palette. Similar shades, which are right here. I'm just going to dab it on this particular matte shade. So these eyeshadows do work pretty well. They do not actually have any fallouts. So just using the very first shade, and then I'm going to use the deeper shade, which is right here, and then smoke it out as well. And that's about it with the eye area for now. So a very quick update, I do like the primer. I like how my foundation is wearing over the primer. It does feel really nice. Tad, again, a little bit tacky. So let's just set it down to see if it does sit in pretty well. So I'm going to use the Wet n Wild. This is their Photo Focus translucent powder. So this one I actually purchased on my very own. So I did hear Tati saying that she loves this particular translucent powder, so I definitely want to give it a try. They did have a couple more shades, but I do not really like my powders to have much colors in them, so I prefer a translucent one. So it says it's a Photo Focus loose setting powder. It does contain talc, but let's just give it a try. And it's translucent, so I'm gonna use a brush to set it. Oh my goodness, I just opened it and the mess of a translucent powder. So I'm going to use my brush. So I don't really set in with a beauty blender because I do have like a dry area on my face. So because it does have like a talc in it, it does set in like powder. I can see it setting in like a powder, so I will be very careful under my eye area because it does get pretty dry and awful throughout the day. It does dry down pretty matte on the foundation after I've applied the powder, so the powder should last on the skin pretty well. So the other product that I have to use off camera is a bronzer, and it's a drugstore bronzer, but it's not from Wet n Wild. So it's from a Physicians Formula. So today I'm actually trying to use most of the products which are from drugstore, so kudos to me. So I'm going to do it off camera because it's not from Wet n Wild, and I did not receive a bronzer from them. I only received a blusher and highlighter, so let me just do it off camera and then I'll be right back. So I'm going to apply a blusher from Wet n Wild. I do not have this blusher with me in my collection. I do have another one, but this is a pearlescent pink blush from Wet n Wild. Their blushes are pretty nice and they're very affordable yet again. Okay, I do have the other blusher right in front of me. It's Mellow Wine. I forgot that I put it out. So this is my favorite one from Wet n Wild. This is more of like a matte blusher. And let me just do a swatch of it. So this is how Mellow Wine looks like. It's a beautiful blush, my favorite one. And this one is in the shade Pearlescent Pink. This does have like shimmer particles in them. Looks very similar to NARS's Orgasm Blush. It does, again, it does look very similar. So this is how it looks like. If you know me, you know that I'm not a fan of the NARS's Orgasm Blush. So let's see how this one works on the skin. But I'm going to apply my favorite blush first on the top of it before I move on to the Pearlescent Pink, just to give like a highlight look. So this is Mellow Wine from Wet n Wild, my favorite blush. It's very, very pigmented, so I would go light hand on this blush. So you can see that this pulls on really well on my skin tone. And then on the top of it, I'm going to use this particular blush, which is Pearlescent Pink. Just a light dab, just on the cheek area. So I would recommend this for like lighter skin tone girls. You might love this one, but for me, I love the Mellow Wine blush. I'm just gonna use my powder to just remove the excess. So I do have one highlighter they actually sent me, which is Blossom Glow, and my favorite one has to be Crown of My Canopy, which is my very own. So this is Crown of My Canopy, and this one has beautiful embossing to it, and this one is Blossom Glow. So I do not know how this one would work on my skin tone, but here is how it swatches. It swatches like slightly whitish purple, and then this one again is my favorite, so I will probably apply this one because I believe this one would work much better for lighter skin tone girls. So let's do the deeper one. So I do love these highlighters. I would totally recommend it. Definitely check them out. So I avoid applying a lot of highlighters these days, mainly because of my skin texture recently, and because of breakouts I do not want to highlight those areas much. But for the sake of the review, I'm actually going to share it with you guys. So these highlighters are very, very beautiful. They're very settled on the skin, yet they look very beautiful. So I'm not sure if you can see it, but I do, and I do like it. Okay, let's just finish up with highlighting of the eyebrow and my inner corners, and then I'll finish up my mascara off camera, and I'll be right back to finish up with the lip product, and pretty much we'll be done. So for the highlighter, I'm going to use the very first shade, just on the brow area. So what I noticed about this palette is the colors are not like really intense. You can actually wet them to get it more intense, but they're really wearable for an everyday kind of makeup looks when you don't want something that goes on really intense. So I'm going to finish up my camera. So I'm going to finish up my mascara, and then I'll be right back. So Wet n Wild did actually send me their liquid eyeliner as well. So I am not like an eyeliner person lately. So this eyeliner, I did hear a lot of good things about them. I do have my very own one as well. So this one is in the shade Cosmic Black. So if you're super handy, you're very good with your liquid eyeliners, this can be it, because the tip is really soft and it's like really flimsy when you try to apply it. But if you're not an expert, you will need practice with it, and I personally am not an expert of eyeliners at all forever. I believe I would never do good. I don't know why, because I'm not like an eyeliner fan. So this one is a pretty good liquid eyeliner on itself. So if you want to try out something more affordable, definitely can give this one a try. So I did receive 2 lip products from them. So these are their lip products. So the very first one that I received is Undercover Love, and this one is like a reddish orange. Pretty much it's a beautiful orange shade. Wow. Okay, it swatches really nice, creamy when I'm swatching it, but it definitely would not match the look that I have created today. So I'll keep this aside, but I definitely will be wearing this because I love red lipsticks. And the next one that I got here is Ring Around the Rosy, and this one is like a rosy shade. So this one is pretty bright too. So this one again does look pretty bright for the look that I've created today. So these are the 2 lip products that I've received. I will probably wear like a neutral lipstick. Here is my final outcome of the makeups that I've tried out from Wet n Wild. So I'm just going to share with you my thoughts on them and what I think about each one of them. So this is the final look that I have worn for myself today. I prefer something like very neutral over my face area because I'm actually at home and I'm not sure whether I'm going out for a workout, so I tend to keep it very simple. So I do like the primer water to begin with. This does feel really nice on the skin. It's very light and it's definitely easy to travel with. This is my very first primer that I've tried out, which is a water base. I usually apply creams over my face. So this one has to be one of my favorite one that I've got. And up next has to be the foundation that I got. Obviously, I did mention that I do like the foundation. Being a drugstore foundation, it does wear pretty well on the skin. It does give a pretty good coverage as well and doesn't feel heavy on the skin. Of course, my spots still shows up because it's pretty deep. So the foundation cannot be blamed for it. So let's move on to my thoughts on the setting powder. This is a translucent setting powder. This one I got it on my very own. So I personally do like how it sets in, but I'm not like a heavy set in kind of person with translucent powders. I do like a shine to show through a little bit more. I'll definitely give it a go. Like I'll see how it wears throughout the day. So I will be sharing my thoughts on it as it goes. So this is a very affordable translucent powder. I would personally recommend it more for my skin type, especially combination to dry skin. I would recommend it more for the face area and not for the eye area, because for me the eye area, if I use too much of like heavy looking translucent powder which sets a little bit more matte, it kind of dries up my under eye area. So I would avoid this on my under eye area, but for the rest of the face area it does work pretty well. And for the eyeshadows, I do love this palette. This one is my Glamour Squad for an everyday bronzy shade, and it's really affordable. I would totally recommend this one. This one I haven't tried it. The swatches really looked good. I'll probably do a tutorial with this one and then I can share my thoughts of it. Overall, this are definitely a good one to try. Moving on to blushes, I do love my Mellow Wine blush. I'm not really sure how to vouch for the pearlescent pink one, but I do love my Mellow Wine blush from Wet n Wild. So I would recommend the matte blushes over the shimmery ones perhaps. And then let's move on to eyebrow pencils. I do like this eyebrow pencil. So I do like the shade Soft Brown for my skin tone. Ash Brown is a little bit more difficult to work on my skin tone shade and for my eyebrow color. But with the Soft Brown, it does look pretty nice on my eyebrows. I do feel that my eyebrows looks natural and nice. And moving on to highlight, I did receive Blossom Glow. I did not use it over my face area because I felt that it would look a little bit white on my skin tone. But I love my Crown of My Canopy highlighter. So it's again from Wet n Wild. So I'm pretty much giving you guys review on the brand itself. And then moving on to lip products, I did swatch it at the back of my hands. I'm gonna love this because they do swatch really soft. And I am pretty sure that I'm going to use this one, especially the red one, pretty often. So that's about it, my review come tutorial with Wet n Wild products. I do hope that you enjoyed my review come tutorial, and hoping that I will do more of this type of reviews for you guys. And again, thank you Wet n Wild for giving me this opportunity. To my very next one, stay beautiful both inside and out. Give me a thumbs up, share all of the support, and please subscribe to my channel. Goodbye.